Hello everyone. I told you I was going to refilm it. It was horrible, I promise you. No, we need to do justice to these orange cardamom rolls from On Thin Icing. So this is the Bake Shop read-along that I am hosting, and I am absolutely loving this reread of this series. So On Thin Icing is getting Jules out of her comfort zone. She is deciding that she's here to stay in Ashland, and she really wants to help Torte, her family bakery, get off the ground, get more money so that they can replace some of their ovens that desperately need replacing. If they are able to replace them, then they get to do more things, more events, and make more money. So Lance has the board of the OSF coming up to a sort of like skiing, hunting lodge retreat, and has asked Jules to sort of come up for the weekend and help prepare all of the meals for their sort of like yearly board meeting, brainstorming ideas. She has decided to take Sterling with her, which makes my heart super happy because I absolutely love Sterling. I don't know if you guys have watched any of Ellie's YouTube videos or have followed her like really closely in how she's created her characters, but Sterling was originally going to be like the killer, the bad guy in the first book. And she fell in love with the character so much that she like pivoted and changed basically everything. I love those little tidbits of information that we get sort of like behind the scenes. So I absolutely love that. So that's sort of the setup, right? Of course, something has to happen, right? There is a huge winter storm that comes in, basically knocks out all the power, a way to get down from the mountain, and chaos ensues. So while you're on the edge of your seat, let's mix up some of this batter for this dough for the cardamom rolls that we are going to make, because they have to prove for an hour. So I will dive a little bit deeper into this while they're proving, but let's get this started. Don't mind the dirty dishes over here, parent life. So this is sort of what we're going to need for the dough. 2.5 cups of flour, an egg, half a cup of sugar, half a cup of sour cream. We've got half of a teaspoon of salt and half a cup of melted butter, and then some rapid rise instant yeast. Now we're going to use this whole orange in a little bit, but in the recipe, it does have like where you actually make the instant yeast like rapid or like rise on its own, but I'm skipping that step and just using instant yeast. So let's get started, huh? pre-proved. We've got 30 minutes and then they can go into the oven. Okay, so the rolls are currently proving for the last time for about 30 minutes, and then we get to pop them in the oven and then make the icing. The icing is literally like 3 ingredients. It's powdered sugar, the juice of an orange, and the rind of an orange. Like, how simple is that? This recipe is actually pretty darn simple to make. The only thing that takes all of the time is the rising time. So I've been loving that. Okay, but let's dive deeper into talking about the book. So we basically are following Jules and Sterling and Lance up the mountain for what's supposed to be like a really, really relaxing kind of retreat. It's outside of Jules's comfort zone, and she's learning to trust Sterling a little bit more. So you get a little bit more of Sterling's backstory, and I love the fact that he is a recovering alcoholic. I love the fact that he looks like a normal person. Like, he has the tattoos, he has, like, that's normal in my life. And so I love that, you know, you get to see a deeper side of Sterling than you normally would because of this trip that Lance gives Jules the opportunity to go to. Jules is still reeling from the information that she found out about Carlos. Now remember, these are spoilery discussions, so if you do not want to know what happens in on Thin Icing, you might not watch this video because this is very, very spoilery. But I totally get the fact that she's so upset with Carlos because he hid a whole child from her. Now, granted, you learn that the woman that he had Ramiro with hid it from him for a long time, but that doesn't give him, to me, that doesn't give him the right to hide it from Jules. Like, if this had been extremely early in their relationship, I can see that. But at this point, they're married for like 2 or 3 years, I'm pretty sure. And that doesn't seem fair to Jules. I don't like that aspect of it. But one of the things that I do love about this book is that Carlos shows up before the storm hits. He has decided that he is no longer going to wait, that he needs to have this conversation with her. So he basically takes a vacation from his job as a chef on the cruise line and is deciding to put Jules first, which I can totally like root him on for. I loved getting to know Carlos again, and his love for food is just absolutely just awe-inspiring. Like, the passion you feel, you can tell that Jules really does love Carlos. She just has all of these feelings of betrayal and everything going on. So she has all that inner turmoil going on, and she has to sort of almost host, like Lance is hosting the OSF crew, but she's the one making all of the food. There is this bartender who is just a piece of work. Like, you can tell that he is skimming money off of the top of the bar tabs. Like, he's really running the inn into the ground. And then you have this sort of like jack of all trades guy who is sort of like keeping the whole entire sort of cabin resort up and on its feet. Like, there's a fishing lodge down below. Like, there's like almost 2 businesses going on. The owner's husband is out of town, which is something that, like, as you're reading, you're like, oh, is he the one? Because what happens is we find Jules goes down to the fishing kind of deck area to grab some extra food for breakfast, and she finds the dead body of the bartender. But he's ticked off a lot of people. So it's like, who didn't want this guy dead? Like, he was misogynistic, he was flirting with Jules, like it's like he couldn't take no for an answer. Like, you just kind of wanted to throat punch him and you didn't want anything to do with him. Or at least that's how I felt. I don't know. Tell me how you guys felt. But did you guys think that it was weird that like the husband kept, like, he kept being mentioned, but he was never on the page? So then you start thinking, like, is he the killer? And then you're like, no, maybe the wife of the owner, like the owner is a killer. And then no, and then Carlos gets to be a suspect in this one because he had an altercation with the bartender because of how he was acting and drinking. You're just kind of like, there are so many people. Jules, when she finds the body, the phone lines are still intact for like that small amount, and she's able to get a rickety kind of connection to the officials, and they say like there's like the pass that they would normally take to get up to there has been blocked off by just like debris and snow, and that basically you got to put the body on ice, which didn't. The body is on ice, on thin icing, guys. I am in a mood. She's like, okay, they're like, we're gonna call in Ashland's police force, which you know is, you know, the professor, and we've got Thomas, and so they finally make it up to the place and start interviewing and asking questions, and then you almost get a feel of a love triangle, like it's like hinted at, but thank God it is kiboshed like in this book. Like, Thomas is just Thomas. He is her friend, nothing else. She really feels like, no, I need to figure out what's going on with Carlos, because that's one of the things that kind of was almost making me second guess Jules as a protagonist. The idea of her having feelings for Thomas while being married to Carlos. So I'm really excited that like that was kiboshed. It was put to like the end. And you figure out like, okay, they're really just friends, which is nice. A lot of interviewing goes on. I love the fact that like Carlos and Sterling sort of become like this very odd duo, this odd pair of friends. Carlos is really teaching Sterling, taking him under his wing when it comes to cooking, especially without electricity, because they end up having no electricity. And I like all of the like the roasted chicken and braised green beans and like the beef stew, like I wanted all of it. I wanted all of it. Like, it was really cold when I was reading this in March, and it was literally the perfect timing for this book for us to be reading it. And so I really enjoyed it. So fast forward, we find out that the killer is the trusty handyman that they've both been skimming off the top, but that the bartender was an idiot and wanted to skim more off of the top, and it was just this whole entire kind of cluster of everything. And Jules sort of stumbles upon it as an amateur sleuth does, right? She stumbles upon it, and he goes to go like tie her up in the fishing cabin, and she thinks that she's about to die, and then she is saved by Thomas and the professor. And I love that it ends with her really contemplating how her and Carlos are going to continue their marriage, if they're going to continue their marriage. I love the last line. Was I doing that with Carlos, or was there a way that we could find a new river together? I didn't know if there was space for him in the new life that I'd carved out in Ashland, but I was about to find out. such a good way to end a book. But yeah, let's go and put the buns in the oven, and then we will come back for a taste test of it. I'm so excited. Look at them. Oh, look at that bubbling. Now let's put the icing on. I'm gonna let these cool, and then we will try them out. All right, they are finished. I think that for the most part, this version went a lot better. I do think that when the recipe calls for the second proof, it should be another hour. So because mine did not double in size, they're very, very small, I am afraid that they're going to be a little bit dense. I tried to also put them in the oven a little bit longer than the 20 minutes. I think I ended up doing 30 minutes in the oven. So we shall see. They're very tiny comparatively to the other ones that were able to prove longer, but that like I messed up with. Like, guys, they were bad. They were not cooked all the way through. So yeah, let's try. Thoughts? A lot better than last time. I do think that I did need to prove them longer for them to really get like big and fluffy. The taste is amazing. Like the brown sugar with the orange and like the zest is so freaking good. Like this is delicious. This would be really, really good with like a nice hot cup of coffee or like tea. I will be eating all of these. I'm gonna take some to work as well. But that is the end of reading On Thin Icing. I am so flippin' excited. Next we are reading Caught Red-Handed. Now, for Caught Red-Handed, I am doing a giveaway with Ellie Alexander, and she is doing a signed copy of that. So I already put in my story for Instagram. That is closed. Comment down below if you made it this far to the end of the video with the with bread emojis and your first name, and then I will try and reach out to you if you are the winner. You can also message me for your entry on Instagram. But that's the end of this chapter of Courtagonist. I hope that you enjoyed this baking video. Please give this video a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. And until next time, guys, happy reading and eating. Bye.